Greetings Guzzlers, we're going to do some baking, and we're going to bake something I haven't baked before. We're going to bake something that's very popular in the Netherlands. We're going to make some, well, in pronunciation time again, speculaas or speculaas. They're basically spiced sort of shortbread or shortcrust biscuits, although when you see the pictures of these, and hopefully at the end, they look a little bit like biscotti. But these are Gevulde Speculaas. That means that they are stuffed, and we're going to be making an almond paste, and we're going to stuff the inside of these biscuits, if you like, with that paste. So before we do anything else, we need to make up our dough. Okay, I've got my oven on preheated at the moment, but there is a little bit of time before we get to that, and we will rest the dough in the fridge while we make the almond paste go inside. So we've still got plenty of time. So let's get cracking. So the first thing is this spice mix. Now, actually, move a little spatula. Probably won't find it now. No, this here. This here is a mixture of different spices, and essentially there's enough here for making 2 of these biscuit things. We're making a big long thing, cutting it up into biscuits. Okay, I'm actually doubling everything up because I want to make 2 lots. Okay, but the quantities that the spice mix make is essentially enough for 2. You can also use the same spice mix in other Dutch spice biscuits, other types of specula. Okay, but like I say, because I'm going to be doing 2 lots, I'm going to be ending up using all this spice. Now this is a tablespoon of ground cinnamon, a teaspoon of ground aniseed, 3/4 teaspoon of ground white pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1/2 teaspoon of ground coriander, 1 teaspoon of ground cardamom, 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and 1/2 teaspoon of ground cloves. Okay, so that's where we're going to get our spice mix. But we're not ready to add that yet. What we're going to add to begin with is butter. Now, for making 12, you would want 100 grams of unsalted butter. I've obviously got 200, so I'm doubling it. Before I do that, I've then got about 2 tablespoons of milk. You'll use 1. Okay, we might need a little bit more milk later if it's too dry. And then we're going to add some soft brown sugar. I've got 200 grams here. Again, you would use 100, so in that goes. And then we're just going to beat that all together until that's all nicely combined. Right, that's blended. So in this bowl, I've got 360 grams of plain white flour. Again, you would use 180. Oops. I'm then going to add 1/2 teaspoon, or just over 1/2 teaspoon of fine salt to that flour. And we've got some bicarbonate soda here. I'm adding 1 teaspoon. Remember, you only need 1/2 if you're only making a 1. And the spice mixture. Now, again, like I said, if you're just making 1 to make 12 individual biscuits, you would use 1/2 of that. I'm using all of it simply because I'm making double. Okay, and now what we're going to do is add that into there. And now we're just going to combine all that together. First, you think to yourself, it's only going to be wet enough. But it does start coming together, and it does say in the book, I've got this from a book called Sweet, okay? the life of me, I can't remember what the name of the author was. But she does mention in there that at first you think to yourself, this is never going to come together, but it will do. So it is quite a dry dough, looking at this, but it is all now starting to blend in together. And then, like I said, what we're going to do is we will do resting this in the fridge, wrapped up, until we're ready to actually roll it. And I will have to obviously divide this in half, and we'll be making two, but for the size of it we may have to bake them separately. So that's now pretty much coming together, and give that a few more minutes, then we're going to tip that out, and that's your stand mixer finished with. To make the paste we're going to need a blender. So that's me dough tipped out. Well, like I say, it's almost like sort of wet sand, but obviously stickier because it stays together. So I'm just giving it a light kneading, make sure it's all packed together. And remember, we're now going to wrap that, and then that's going to go into the fridge, get the blender out, and we'll get on with the making the paste. I did get some flour out, didn't need it for that stage, but we'll see later, we might need a little bit when we come to rolling. Right, now I'm doing things slightly differently here because she makes her almond paste from blanched almonds, but it's going to need a lot of blanched almonds, particularly if you're making two lots. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use the almond flour. Now she would start with the whole blanched almonds and give them about a 30-second blitz. You don't want to blitz them too much initially because we're going to be adding other things and then blitzing them some more. You want some texture in it. So because this is already ground, I'm going to add that a little bit later because I don't want to sort of grind that up anymore. Not that I think it will do. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the zest of 1 lemon. You would only want half, again, if you were only doing one set. And you'll also want some lemon juice, so it's easier to zest it when it's whole than it is when you just cut it into halves. That's just about it. And again, lemon juice, you'll want 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. Now here I've got some caster sugar, again I've weighed that out, you'll want 150, I've got 300 grams of that. And then I'm putting 2 large eggs in, you would obviously only use 1. Oh no, it's a bit of shell there, that's a bit naughty. And then 60 grams of candied mixed peel, or in my case 120. And we're just going to, anything? Yep. We're just going to blitz this for a little bit, and then we're going to blend in that flour. Obviously that candy peel is quite chunky, if you like, so we just want to break that down a bit. This thing, 1989, got given this wedding present. Slowly managing to break it, but it does the job. I think this is going to be another one where it's going to be a little bit of a tight fit, that. Right, so now what we want to do is get this all mixed together. You can see some chunky bits of the candy in there. And when that's made, it's time just to set that aside. Again, we'll need to divide this into two, and we'll be getting our dough out and we'll start rolling it. So by now you will want to make sure your oven is up to 190 conventional, 170 fan. You're going to want an egg or two to do like an egg wash, and you're going to want some blanched almonds for decoration. So I've split my paste into two, I've split my dough into two, and I now need to roll one lot of that dough out into something about 20 by 30. And this is just slightly bigger than that. That fits in my baking tray. It should roll out about half a centimetre thick. And I've just thought, I know this is silicone, but I might be better just doing a little bit of flouring on it, because I'm going to need to better fold this, and I don't want it sticking. I know it shouldn't really do because it's silicone in it, but we just add a little bit of flour. And the idea is we're going to create a little sort of envelope that will contain that paste. So you might want to do a little bit of trimming. And add that on to the bits where there's gaps. And I can always add any spare so I'm just going to see what I mean about might need a little bit of flour. I'm not too worried about that, that's going to be on the inside. So I'm just going to trim this to a nice neat rectangle. Right, I've got about 15 grams of melted butter here, and we now just want to coat this with about 2/3 of it. And then we're ready to apply our almond paste. Let me get the roller out. Like that one. This is quite sticky, not surprising, really amount of sugar and that in it. Oops. Yeah. And we want to sort of roll it. I mean, she says you can spoon it out, but to be honest, it's a bit too sticky for that. So we're just spreading that out down the middle there, as you can see. But you need to be a little bit careful because we're going to need to better fold over. Now this is why you want something like baking paper or something like that, because you're wanting to roll that up like that, and then we want to turn it over. Okay, so the seam side is down. I'm just going to wash my hands. We're going to do the final sort of egg wash and decoration. I'm now going to take this egg wash and we're just going to brush that over the top. didn't check actually to make sure my oven is at temperature. To be honest, she says use like 1 egg for this, so I was ready to have 2, but I thought, well, I'll wait and see before I start using another egg unnecessarily, and I think I've got more than enough there. Now, these are now going to be decorated with blanched almonds. Now remember, we want to cut this into about 12 portions, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put these at a slight angle going along, but leaving a gap, because remember we're going to want to slice this. Whoops. And then when this is finished, just making sure I can actually get 12 along here, because like I say, one of these is meant to make about 12 biscuits, if you like. It's then going to go into that oven. Okay, for the second time I'm trying out it's my new oven, and I've always used it on fan until the other day when I thought I'll try the conventional one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And unfortunately what I wasn't aware of is that the element at the top is like a grill, and so I inadvertently put 2 shelves in and baked 2 lots of cupcakes, and as a result, the top one started browning on top. Right, so I'm now just going to pick this up, transfer that to my tray, and that goes in, like I say, for about 30 minutes. Now it is going to colour up, it's also going to start flattening, that doesn't matter, alright? Here we have our final Gevulde Speculaas, or something like that. Okay, our stuffed spiced biscuit. It is a little bit crumbly. The edge on the second one that I've cooked is coming away just there, but you can see there, and actually this one's slightly broken apart, which is why I'm going to try this one. So definitely get that spice in that, in the biscuity bit. It's a little bit like gingerbread, but much shorter, if you like, the biscuit is anyway. You've got that thick layer of almond paste, in a way just marzipan. Very tasty. You see why these are so popular. They originally were down around about Christmas time, and they were made around about the 5th and 6th of December to coincide with when Sinterklaas arrived on his white horse in the local town to give out presents. However, these are so popular that you can get them any time of the year now, and you can get them all through the Netherlands, Belgium, France, some parts of Germany. So, excellent, as they are, excellent with something like a coffee. Perhaps I'll have another coffee, another one. But there you go. The Gevulde Speculaas, or something like that.